The beat drops and your foot is already moving. You didn't decide that. Nobody asked you. Somewhere between your ear and your ankle, a decision got made without you, and by the time you notice it, your head is nodding along like it belongs to somebody else. Look down. Your body just did something you never taught it to do. Now stretch that backward. Not to last year, not to the invention of recorded sound, which is barely older than your great-grandmother. Stretch it back past every song you know, past every instrument, past writing, past farming, past the end of the last ice age, and you will still find human beings keeping time in the dark. Here is the part that stings. You have more music within reach right now than every human who lived before your great-grandparents put together, and you almost certainly listen to it alone, in headphones, in a car, in a room with the door shut, while a machine quietly guesses what you might like next. That loneliness is not an accident, and it is not a personal failure, because music did not evolve to be listened to. It evolved to be done. And there is one thing it does to a human body that no pair of headphones has ever managed, the exact thing your ancestors were reaching for every single time they opened their mouths together. Hold on to that. Everything else leads there. Start with the widest fact anyone has established about your species. There has never been a human society without music, not one. When a team of researchers led by Samuel Mayer assembled the ethnographic record of song from cultures all over the world and published it in the journal Science, that was the headline. Music showed up everywhere they looked. Not just everywhere, but in the same handful of situations, over and over, in societies that had never heard of each other. People sang to dance, people sang to heal, people sang to court each other, and people sang to babies. Think about how odd that is. Cultures disagree about almost everything. They disagree about gods, about food, about who you may marry, about what counts as a crime. But every single one of them, independently, arrived at organized sound. You can watch the same instinct in a person far too young to have been taught it. In a study by Marcel Zentner and Tuomas Arela, more than 100 infants, some as young as 5 months, long before they could walk or speak, were played music, rhythmic drum beats, and recordings of speech. The babies moved to the music. They moved much less to the talking. When the tempo sped up, their movement sped up. And here is the detail that gets me. The babies who matched the beat most closely were the ones who smiled the most. Nobody trained them. They arrived with it. So the instinct is old, but how old? For a long time, that question had no hard floor, because voices do not fossilize, and neither do clapping hands. Then, in a cave in southwestern Germany called Hohlefels, an archaeologist named Nicholas Conard and his colleagues pulled 12 fragments of hollow bone out of the ground. Fitted back together, they made a flute. It had been carved from the wing bone of a griffin vulture. It had 5 finger holes and a V-shaped notch cut into one end, and it is somewhere in the range of 40,000 years old, made by some of the very first modern humans to settle that corner of Europe. Sit with the craftsmanship for a second. Somebody chose that bone. Somebody knew which bird's wing was hollow enough, straight enough, long enough. Somebody worked out where to put the holes so the notes would land where they wanted them, and then taught somebody else, because a 5-hole flute is not a first attempt, it is a refinement. Picture the night it belonged to. A cold valley, 40,000 years ago. A river below, mammoth country beyond it. A group of maybe 20 or 30 people, most of them related, all of them tired, tucked under an overhang of rock as the light goes out of the sky. Somebody starts a rhythm, not a song yet, just a hand on a thigh, a heel on stone, something steady enough to lean on. Somebody else joins. Then the voices, low and wordless, sliding around each other until they lock. A child hits the beat wrong and gets it right on the next pass. And over the top of all of it, thin and clear, comes the vulture bone. Nobody under that ledge is performing. There is no audience, there is no stage, and no one is any good. And it does not matter in the slightest, because the point of what they are doing is not the sound. Watch their bodies instead. 30 people who spent the whole day scattered across a valley, competing, arguing, dividing food, are now breathing at the same rate. That is the entire trick, and it took modern science an embarrassingly long time to notice it. Here is where the story turns on you. That flute is not the beginning of music. It cannot be. A carved instrument with 5 tuned holes is what appears at the end of a long tradition, not the start of one. The way a printing press is not the beginning of storytelling. The flute is a receipt. It is proof that by 40,000 years ago, music was already so established, so obviously worth the trouble, that people were spending scarce hours and scarce material building machines to make more of it. Which means the first instrument came long before, and you are carrying it. Your voice, your hands, your feet, your lungs. And music's job was never beauty. Beauty is a side effect. Its job was to solve a problem your ancestors could not solve any other way. How do you hold a large group of people together? Other primates do it by grooming, one-on-one, fingers through fur, hours of it. That works, but it does not scale, because you cannot groom 30 individuals in an evening. Sound scales. A voice reaches everybody at once. And when the researcher Robin Dunbar and his colleagues tested what synchronized movement actually does to a body, what they found was chemical. People who danced in time with others showed a raised pain threshold afterward, a standard proxy for endorphin release, and reported feeling closer to the strangers they had danced with. People who moved out of sync got neither. The bonding did not come from the music being good. It came from the bodies matching. There is more. In a set of experiments by Scott Wiltermuth and Chip Heath, people were asked to walk in step, or sing together, or move in time, and then play economic games in which cooperating cost them something personally. The ones who had synchronized cooperated more. And it was not simply because moving together put them in a good mood, because the researchers checked that. Something underneath mood had already decided that these were now their people. That is the payoff your ancestors were chasing every night. Not entertainment, not art, a shortcut into other human beings, a way to walk into the dark as 30 separate anxious animals and walk out as one thing that trusts itself. Now come back. Look at what you did with that inheritance. You perfected the sound and deleted the room. Your headphones deliver a fidelity no ancient human could have imagined. Every breath and every string, straight into your skull, where exactly one person can hear it. Your playlist knows you better than your neighbors do. You can hear 10,000 voices tonight and be heard by none of them. And somewhere along the way, you quietly agreed that you are not musical, that singing belongs to people with good voices, that dancing belongs to people who look right doing it. So you stopped. Around age 11 or 12, most people stop making the sound and start only receiving it, and the oldest machine you own goes idle in your chest. Have you noticed which moments still get through? The stadium, when 80,000 people sing a chorus no day organized. The car with your friends, all shouting the same words badly. The funeral, the birthday song, the most poorly performed piece of music on earth, which somehow still works every time. Those moments land hard, and you probably file it under nostalgia. It is not nostalgia. That is a 40,000-year-old system switching on for 3 minutes and finding, at last, something to do. So here is the permission. You do not have to be good. You were never supposed to be good. The vulture bone flute was not built for a concert hall, and the people gathered around it could not carry a tune any better than you can. Sing in the kitchen. Sing wrong. Tap the wheel. Hum to a baby, badly, in the dark, the way people have hummed to babies for longer than any language has existed. The system is not grading you. It only ever checked one thing, which is whether you joined in. Put the headphones down once in a while and make the sound yourself, near somebody. That is all it ever asked of you. The beat drops and your foot is already moving. It was never only your foot. It is 30 people under a rock ledge in a cold valley, breathing together, refusing to be separate, and some part of you is still keeping their time. You pick up your phone, and within seconds you feel it. Someone you know just got the thing you were quietly hoping for. A promotion, a house, a life that looks, from the outside, a few steps ahead of your own. You put the phone back down, but the feeling stays, low and heavy, just beneath your ribs. A small, certain voice that says one word: behind. You are behind. You tell yourself this is silly. You have enough. You are safe. You are fed. Nothing is actually wrong. And still the feeling does not care what you tell it. It just sits there, in your body, like a stone. So step back for a moment. Step back further than this room, further than your job and your feed, and the whole ranking, measuring, comparing modern day, all the way back to the world that feeling was actually built for. Because the stone beneath your ribs is not a flaw in you. It is one of the oldest and most faithful instruments your body owns. And for nearly the entire human story, the thing it measures was the difference between living and dying. Here is what almost nobody tells you. Buried inside you is a system older than language, and it has been quietly measuring one number your whole life. Not your weight, not what you own, your rank, where you sit in the order of the people around you. By the end of this, you will know how it works, why your own blood rises and falls with it, and why the modern world has turned that ancient instrument into a machine that can never, ever be satisfied. Let's go back. Picture the world you were actually made for. Not a city of millions, a band, a few dozen people, maybe as many as 150, and you know every single one of them by face, by voice, by name. You were born among them. You will likely die among them. There is no other world. And in that small world, there is an order. There always is. Whose voice carries weight around the fire? Who gets listened to when a hard choice has to be made? Who eats well when the hunting is good? And far more importantly, who still eats when the hunting is bad? Who is wanted as a mate, and who is quietly passed over? This is the thing to understand, the thing that changes everything. For your ancestors, rank was never really about pride. It was about the body. It was about food and safety and children. To sit low in that order was not an insult. It was a slow danger. It meant less to eat when the lean months came. It meant less protection when things turned violent. It meant fewer chances to have children who lived. Over enough time, in a hard enough world, the difference between high and low in the band was the difference between a line that continued and a line that ended. So your ancestors' bodies learned to treat rank as life or death because it was. They watched it constantly without ever deciding to. Who is rising, who is falling, where do I stand today, this hour, in this group? And when they sensed themselves slipping down, when they felt the group's respect and attention drain away, their bodies did not stay calm. They rang an alarm, the same alarm that fires when a predator is near. A flood of stress chemistry, a body braced for emergency. Because to your ancestors, a fall in status was an emergency, every bit as real as a shape moving low through the grass. And this is not a guess. You can watch it happen, in the body, right now. There is a scientist named Robert Sapolsky who spent years in East Africa watching wild baboons. Baboons live, as we once did, in troops with a clear pecking order. And when Sapolsky measured what was actually happening inside their bodies, he found something quietly devastating. The low-ranking baboons, the ones near the bottom of the order, carried more stress hormones in their blood. Their bodies stayed braced, on alert, unable to fully switch the alarm off. Sitting low in the hierarchy was, in the most literal chemical sense, a kind of slow, invisible wound. Now, you might tell yourself, fine, but those are baboons. We are not baboons. We built cities and laws and safety. Surely we left that behind. We did not. In Britain, beginning in the 1960s, researchers followed thousands of civil servants for decades. Office workers. Everyone employed, everyone housed, no one starving, all of them somewhere on the same long ladder of job grades. And what those researchers found, led by a man named Michael Marmot, is one of the most sobering facts in all of human health. The lower a person's rank, the worse their health and the shorter their life. Not in a single jump from rich to poor, a smooth, steady gradient, step by step, all the way down the ladder. Each rung lower meant a little more illness, a little more risk of an early death, even for people who were, by any old measure, perfectly safe. Marmot gave it a name. He called it the status syndrome. Your place in the order gets under your skin. It always did. So sit with what this means about the feeling beneath your ribs. That anxiety, that gnawing sense of being behind, is not a defect of a shallow, ungrateful mind. It is the alarm doing exactly the job it was built to do. It is a rank tracker older than speech, reading the room, deciding whether you are safe in the order or slipping down it. When you feel that you are falling behind, some ancient part of you is not being petty, it is being protective. It is treating your standing the way it was always meant to, as a matter of survival. But here is the twist that changes everything about your particular life in this particular century. In the band, the order was small, 150 people and no more. And that meant the ladder had a top. You could actually climb it. You could become the one whose voice carried. the one who was wanted, the one who ate well and slept safe. And then the alarm could rest. The rank tracker could look around the whole of your world, see that you stood high in it, and finally, blessedly, go quiet. Your ancestors could win. The instrument was built for a world where winning was possible. Now look at the world you pointed at. You do not live among 150 people anymore. You carry in your pocket a window onto millions. And the modern world does not show you the ordinary millions. It shows you all day long the very top. The richest, the most beautiful, the most successful, the most admired human beings alive, carefully lit and edited and streamed into your hand while you sit on a bus. Your ancient rank tracker does not know these are strangers. It does not know this is a highlight reel. It simply does what it has always done. It measures you against them, and it reports back again and again the same impossible verdict. You are behind. You are behind. You are behind. The ladder no longer has a top. Every time you climb a rung, the window shows you someone standing on a higher one. There is always a person richer, thinner, faster, more admired, one swipe away. And so the alarm that was built to fire and then rest never gets to rest. It just rings, quietly, all day, for a race that has no finish line, against people you will never even meet. Remember how new all of this is. For 2 million years, your rank was a real thing, in a real group, that you could actually change. The endless ladder in your pocket is a few thousand days old. Your body never got the chance to learn that these are not your band, that this race cannot be won, that the number it keeps reporting is a lie. To the oldest part of you, it is not a lie. It is the group, and you are losing. So when you feel that stone beneath your ribs, understand what is really happening. You are not vain. You are not shallow. You are not ungrateful for the good, safe life you actually have. You are running a piece of ancient survival software, perfectly tuned for a world of 150 faces, inside a world that shows you 150 million and calls it your competition. The pain is real. The chemistry is real. But the verdict is false. The mismatch is not a flaw in your character. The mismatch is the entire story. None of this makes the feeling simply vanish. You cannot reason an ancient alarm into silence, but you can know it for what it is. You can feel the stone settle beneath your ribs and say quietly, I know you. You are very old, and you are only trying to keep me safe, and the thing you are measuring is not real. You can choose, on purpose, to shrink your world back down, to look at the few faces that are actually your band, the people in the room, the ones who would sit with you when the hunting is bad. Bad is the order that was ever real. That is the only ladder your body was ever built to climb. So tomorrow you will pick up your phone again, and the window will open, and the top of the world will pour through it, and the old alarm will stir, and the small, certain voice will lean close and say its one word, behind. Let it speak for a moment, and then see it for what it is, not the truth about your life, not the measure of your worth, just the oldest and most faithful instrument you own, still doing the only thing it ever knew how to do, still counting the faces around the fire, still trying, in the only language it has, to keep you alive. You sit down to do the one thing that matters. You open the page, you put your hands on the keys, you tell yourself just this, just for a little while. And then, without ever deciding to, you are somewhere else. A tab you don't remember opening, a phone that is suddenly, mysteriously already in your hand, a thought about something you need to buy, a thing someone said to you 3 days ago, a small worry about tomorrow. You blink and 20 minutes are gone, and the one thing that mattered is still sitting there, untouched, quietly watching you. So you reach for the word you always reach for, lazy, broken, undisciplined. You decide one more time that something inside you is simply wrong. But step back for a moment. Step back further than this desk, further than the open tabs and the glowing screens, past the whole restless modern day, all the way back to the world your attention was actually built for. Your focus did not evolve to sit pointed at a screen for hours. It was shaped for something else entirely, in a place where holding perfectly still on a single task was one of the most dangerous things you could do. So here is something almost nobody tells you. Your ancestors could not focus the way you are demanding of yourself either, and that is the exact reason you exist. For nearly the whole human story, a mind that locked onto one thing and shut out everything else was not a gift. It was a way to die young. And buried in your brain right now is an ancient reflex, older than language, that never once asked your permission. It fires before you decide anything at all. It is the reason your head turns toward the sudden sound, the flicker of movement, the thing at the very edge of your eye. By the end of this, you will know its name, why it is there, and how a handful of the smartest companies on Earth learn to pull its trigger all day long. Let's go back. Picture yourself on an open grassland 100,000 years ago, crouched at the edge of a thicket, digging for roots. It is warm. The work is dull. Your hands already know what to do, and this is the exact moment you are in the most danger. Because a body bent over one task, eyes down, mind narrowed to the patch of dirt in front of it, is a body that does not see the shape moving low through the grass. It does not hear the birds go suddenly silent. It does not notice the light begin to change. Now picture the one crouched beside you, whose mind will not settle. Every few seconds their eyes come up. They catch the grass moving the wrong way. They notice the silence before you do. They are already standing, already stepping back, while the focused one is still happily digging. Ask yourself which of those two is your ancestor. It is not the one who could focus. It is the one who couldn't. The one whose attention kept lifting off the task and sweeping the horizon again and again and again is the one who lived long enough to have children. You are the great-grandchild, 10,000 times over, of the distractible. This is the first thing to understand about the mind you keep fighting. Your attention was never built to be a spotlight, a single bright beam you aim and hold. It was built to be a stanner. Its whole genius is that it will not stay put. It rests lightly on whatever you are doing, and it is designed in every single moment to be interrupted, because for almost all of human history, the interruption was the important part. The rustle was information. The flicker was information. The thing you did not expect was the thing most likely to decide whether you lived or died. There is a reflex underneath this, and scientists mapped it out more than half a century ago. They call it the orienting response. It is the involuntary turn of the head, the sudden sharpening of the senses, the small quiet freeze that happens the instant something new appears. You do not choose it. A door clicks in another room, and your attention is already there before you know you heard it. A shape moves in the corner of your vision, and your eyes are pulled toward it before a single thought arrives. This is not a weakness bolted onto your focus. It is a deeper, faster, older system running underneath it, and it has only one commandment: never let the task in front of you blind you to the new thing at the edge. And there is a second ancient pressure, just as strong, pulling in the same direction. Imagine you find a bush heavy with berries. You eat, it is good. But every berry you pick makes the next one a little harder to find, the bush a little emptier. And somewhere out past the trees, always, is another bush you cannot see. So your mind begins to itch. A restlessness rises in you. Is it still worth staying here, or is it time to move on? Every creature that forages for a living carries this exact question, and the ones who answered it well are the ones who kept eating. Stay too long on the emptying bush, and you starve slowly. Leave too soon, and you waste what you had. The tension never truly resolves. It just hums quietly, forever, in the back of the mind. That same hum is still in you. It is the pull you feel away from the thing in front of you and toward the thing you cannot quite see yet. It is why the task you are on, the moment it turns a little dull, a little depleted, begins to feel like an empty bush. And here is what that restlessness bought your ancestors. It was not only escape from danger, it was discovery. The mind that wandered was the mind that found the new water, the better stone, the richer valley over the ridge. Every good thing your species ever stumbled onto was found by someone whose attention refused to stay home. Your wandering mind is not a malfunction. It is an explorer. It is doing the oldest arithmetic it knows, asking over and over whether there is something better just past the edge of what you are looking at. So here's the twist, the thing that should quietly rearrange how you see every distracted afternoon of your life. Distraction is not the breakdown of your attention. Distraction is your attention working exactly as it was designed to work. The wandering, the scanning, the itch to check, the pull toward the new. All of it is a single, ancient, beautifully tuned survival system, doing precisely the job it was shaped across millions of years to do. What we call focus, that long, unbroken, blinkers-on concentration on one dull thing, is the strange part. That is the unnatural act. You are not failing to be normal. You are being asked, for hours at a time, to override one of the oldest instincts you own. And now, sit with what the modern world has quietly done with that instinct. Because a system this powerful, this automatic, this impossible to switch off, is not just a private quirk of yours. It is a door. And on the other side of that door sit some of the most brilliant, best-funded people alive, whose entire job, all day, is to work out which rustle in the grass you cannot ignore. The buzz in your pocket is a rustle in the grass. The small red dot is a flicker of movement at the edge of your eye. The endless feed that never runs out is the berry bush that refills itself the very instant you look away. So the old question, is there something better just ahead, can never once be answered. And so you scroll, and the ancient hum never gets to rest. Every ping, every notification, every video that plays on its own is a tiny, perfect counterfeit of the exact signals your ancestors could not afford to miss. Your orienting response cannot tell the difference between a leopard and a pop-up. It simply fires. It was built to fire. It fired for 2 million years and kept your bloodline alive. And now it fires 40, 50, 100 times a day for things that were engineered on purpose by people who understood it to set it off. Remember how new all of this is. Screens like these have existed for a heartbeat, a few thousand days against 2 million years of grass and sky. Your mind never got the chance to learn that the buzz is not a leopard. To the deepest part of you, it still is. So when you cannot sit still with the one thing that matters, understand what is really happening. You are not weak, you are not broken, you are not missing some quiet virtue that everyone else was handed at birth. You are running a piece of ancient survival software, flawless in the world it was made for, inside a world that has been carefully, deliberately built to hijack it. The mismatch is not a flaw in you. The mismatch is the entire story. None of this means you are helpless. A mind like yours can still be pointed and held and brought gently back again and again and again. But it changes what the effort actually is. You are not repairing something defective. You are asking a wild, watchful, ancient thing to stay for just a little while in a room it was never designed for. That is hard. It is supposed to be hard. And the tiredness you feel afterward is not proof that something is wrong with you. It is proof of how strong the old instinct still is. So tomorrow you will sit down again to do the one thing that matters. You will open the page, you will put your hands on the keys, and your mind will lift off and go wandering, out toward the edge of things, the way it always has. Let it be for one moment what it truly is. Not a broken machine, not a failure of will, just the oldest and most faithful guardian you own, still doing the only thing it ever knew how to do, still sweeping the tall grass for the shape that might be coming, still keeping watch over you, the way it always used to.